Hi guys! Welcome to another streaming safari here at the Lion Habitat Ranch. Today we're going to be doing a little bit of math stuff, but first, as always, I would like to thank you if you've come out to visit us, or if you've been able to donate or help us out on Amazon Smile. We really do appreciate it. If you can't do anything for us, those links are all down below. We are a nonprofit, so anything you donate to us or even just coming in to see us helps us really take really good care of our animals, and so we really, really appreciate any of that you can do for us. Thanks again. And today, we do a lot of, different STEM experiments, and one of those things that we tend to be missing a lot is the M, the math part. So I tried to find a math thing that I could keep a little less mathy, but was still a little bit interesting, and we could do a little experiment with it. So we're going to talk a little bit about waves, which we have talked about in some other streaming safaris. And so I'm going to draw a wave for you. And Denise can angle the camera down at it. Okay, so if I have a wave going along this line, it's going to look like this. It's going to go up.
Bird chat will be in 5 minutes. Ask a keeper near you for location.
Back. As usual, we're a little bit late, guys. So if you have a perfect wave, all of these waves going up and down along this line are going to be exactly the same height and exactly the same distance apart. We have a comment.
Tara from Buffalo, New York says they're really excited to come visit. They'll be in Vegas September 6th through the 10th.
Yay! Please come visit us. Right. So, all of these up and downs are going to be the same height, and the distance between them is going to be the same. And the distance between them, basically where it repeats itself, is what we call a period. It's how many times this occurs across the way. So this is your period. And then you have something called your amplitude. And amplitude is kind of just saying how high is it or how big is it. So your amplitude is going to be from this line up to the very top. And we can create a wave like this from a perfect circle. So to do our experiment, we're going to be making what's called a cyclic pendulum. And how we're going to do that is we need to make a cycloid. And a cycloid is essentially one of these waves where I have one of the waves turned back over. So it makes a bigger section of the wave. So it's kind of going to look like just one of these that comes across. And I'll show you that and how to do it in just a second here. So we're going to set these aside. And so how we're going to do this is you need something that's pretty close to a perfect circle. I've just got a lid here. It also is going to depend on how big your surface is. So I've just got a small foam board that I'm going to use. You can use styrofoam. If the styrofoam's a little thicker, you'll get a little bit of a better outcome with this. One of your challenges that I have for you for this experiment is to make a better cyclic pendulum than I made. So find something that's circular. Get a pen or a pencil set up on it. And what you need is you need a flat surface to push this against, because the circle needs to be able to roll. So you can do this actually up against the wall. So if you put this up against the wall and roll the circle along the floor, what a cycloid is essentially a single point on a circle rolling across another curve. In other words, the other curve would actually be the floor, and it's going to make a long arc for us. And so I'll show you how that looks. So I'm just going to set it kind of along the Jeep here. And then your start point, so you want your pencil to touch the bottom of your foam board or your styrofoam. And then you're going to keep the base of the circle in contact with your other curve, with your surface. And it's going to create a wave-like thing.
Bentley says this is a lot of math.
To you. They might be upset that we're doing so much math. Okay. So this is what we get. And this is a cycloid. Okay. Now, to make your pendulum, what you need to do is you need to get something sharp or an adult. I used a razor blade because this needs to be a little bit precise. So you can try using scissors, you can try using a knife, or an adult using any of those things, or a razor blade. And you're gonna cut along your edge. I'm not gonna be super precise right now, but I'm gonna cut out the cycloid here.
You can, until she needs you.
All the way through the board. And you can actually use your other side of the cycloid for fun things too, like making a racetrack. So this side can be used too, or this side. They both have the same curve made from the same circle. And that's the mathematical part, right? They both have the same curve from the same circle. And to make your pendulum part, you're gonna wanna cut this in half. We have another comment.
Bentley came and made an appearance actually today.
Oh, yes.
He came to tell you you're doing a lot of math.
Okay, Bentley, you wanna do some math?
He's like, no.
Bentley, you wanna measure for me? Come measure. Come do some measuring. Here. Bentley, look.
He's like, no.
Bentley,
Not interested.
you're not interested in math. Okay. So you want to try to measure this. Mine is close to about 15 inches. And then cut it in half. There's another trick to this that I'll tell you in just a sec. So I'm not going to be super precise again, but this needs to be pretty precise. So you want to cut it in half so you have two that are the same size. Now, I didn't quite get it right, Bentley. I'm sorry, buddy. Sorry to disappoint you. So if you get two that aren't quite the same size, like I just did, what you can do is you can take the other side and you can just redraw and make a second one. It's a little bit of a cheat, but that's okay. And then the styrofoam would, if you get a bigger styrofoam piece, it'll allow you to have just a thicker piece that's just one single piece, and so that would be a little bit easier too. Okay, and then once you have that, you'll need some string and then a weight to put on it so that you can actually make the pendulum part that swings. And I made the pendulum out of just two little nuts here because they're going to be the same weight. And so you want your pieces of your pendulum to be the same weight. And I just tied them on. And then I set up my pendulum on a meter stick. Okay? So I actually have 4 different sides all put together. They are all made from the same circle, so they should have the same curve to them. And what we're going to do is, you would think that if we swing these pendulums, if I pulled one all the way back here and I only pulled the other one part way, that they wouldn't meet the center at the same time. They would take a longer time to get down because of the gravity being closer to this one than to the one that I pulled really, really far away. But because of the way that the curve works, the period and the amplitude don't actually matter. So the amplitude can be whatever it is, which the amplitude will be how long you stretch the string. Yeah.
Brandon's going to be your helper instead of
Brandon's
Ainsley.
coming to help me out and hold this so we can actually test it. And like I said, one of the things I want you guys to do is make a better pendulum than I did, because I did test it out and it did work a couple times, but we'll see if it works.
You're okay,
now.
Ainsley. Brandon's here.
So the idea is to try to see how perfect your pendulum is. And if it's perfect, you're just going to hold the end of the meter stick for me. Yep, just hold it nice and straight. I'm going to let go of this side. Okay. So one of our pendulums we're going to bring all the way back really, really far. I'm going to make sure that knot stays tight. And then the other one, I'm just going to take up a long, but a little bit low. I'm going to release it at the same time. Do you see how they kind of hit the middle right at the same time? So right when they hit here, they're actually coming down and hitting this center spot at the same time, even though I'm bringing one really, really far back along the curve and the other one not quite as far. And that happens because the cycloid, the math, which I'm not going to give you all the crazy math, but I'm just going to explain that the amplitude along the same curve doesn't matter. You get the same period. In other words, the hump occurs always at the exact same time, no matter how high it is. So no matter how high I take the pendulum, the period is the same. So even if these waves, if I'm at a different part of the wave, it's still going to get to the other side at the exact same time. And I think that's pretty cool.
Very mathy today.
Very mathy today. So that is all the math of it that I'm going to explain. It is something that you can look up online, and it's really neat if you're somebody who's really into equations and things that has to do with the radius and gravity, and you can take a look at all that cool stuff. But I would really like if anybody makes a pendulum, let us know. And that's our streaming safari for today. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again next week.